Alright, so so last class we left off with our bow here. We had blocked it out like we did for the poster, and what we're going to do now is start taking it to the next level for this. So just gonna hide this guy, and I'm gonna hit Alt and X to go into X-ray mode. And what I want to start doing now is just trying to get closer to what we've got here. So there's a few tools that I'd like to show you guys on how to do that. The first one is you have a few slicing options for adding more geometry, because what we need is we need something that goes like this, and then we need a circle right here, or like a half circle, and then we need to bring this this geometry further back like so. So that's what I'm going to start doing, is just start trying to mimic what we have in our reference here. Alright, so with this circle, there's a few different ways that we can do it. So I'm just going to hit Alt 1 again, Shift, right? So Alt 1 like that. I'm just adding more geo now to work with. So now that I've got some more of my geometry here in place, what I can start doing is, let's get so here's a few different techniques that you guys can use. So you can use as like a guide, you can just make a circle right here, but it's a spline, so it's rendering right now. We don't want it to render at all. Alright, so I'm going to use this as my guide for cutting out our information. So, and I can even reduce the amount of sides it has so that reduce our interpolation to about, let's see what's one. One is too low. Let's go to 2. Alright. So I'm just going to now increase my radius a little bit to encompass just this entire piece right here. Now I'll kind of rotate it into place. Alright, so now we've got the shape that we want to cut out of here. So, there's a few different ways that we can do this, right? So one way is to use it as a guide. Another is I'm just going to shift drag, make a copy. Right, this is the quick and dirty way to do this. So let's throw shell modifier on there. Just going to drag this guy through like so. Whenever I'm about to do something like this, where I know I'm about to kind of mess up the geometry and make it a little funky, what I like to do is I like to make a duplicate of my original mesh, just in case something goes haywire or I mess something up. I can have the original mesh to go back to. So we've got our shape right here that we want to cut out. Alright, so now what we can do is we can just select this guy. I'm going to right click, convert it to an editable poly, go into my selection here, and the reason I converted it is because this guy, it was an instance of it, and if I had done any operation to this, it would have done the exact same to this. So I had to convert this guy to an editable poly to start to continue to work with it the way I want to work with it. So just in case you guys were wondering why I did what I did. Alright, so let's see. And let me see if I want to augment this a little more, because it looks like what I'm looking at is this shape right here, because it feels like it kind of, the semicircle kind of goes down to it. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So what I'll do is I'll grab one of these bottom pieces. Let's go F and Z. Let's just make sure. I'm gonna connect this guy right here. I'm just gonna hit W, right click, connect. Connect like so. And then delete that. Hit 3 on my keyboard, and then shift drag down. And just scale this in. So do a cap. And then cap this off. So what I've got is something more like that. Alright. Another thing I want to do is I'm going to close these holes right here. I'm going to close these, because when it comes to booleans, for some reason it does not like open faces and stuff like that. So just to save myself a little bit of headache, I'm going to close those. And then right here, here's your first boolean operation, right? So we're going to go into compound objects, and we're going to use the boolean, and we're just going to look for the subtract. We're going to add the operand. We're going to select this guy. Alright, just like that, we've cut our hole into this. And I do not want these extra tessellation, mesh things that it's done right here. So I'm going to retain the original material and retain non-planar faces like that. Alright. So now we've got that kind of cut in. And then I'm just going to right click it and convert it to an editable poly like so. And then I can delete the extra stuff that I don't want. I can delete all this. Alright, I'm just going to delete those guys like that. And now we've kind of got our little guard thing. Alright, so it's got cut in. But what you're gonna notice is, when I do my boolean operation, it really does affect the silhouette of this guy. It really starts to affect it by throwing these extra little vertices in there, and we're gonna need to clean that up. So to clean that up, we're going to do the same thing. And once again, guys, I don't like working on both sides at once. So I'm just going to select from the top. I'm going to select half of it, delete that guy right there. Now that I've deleted, I'm only working with one side, and it just makes my life and my job a lot easier. So I can control and backspace to get rid of those extra verts that were made because of our shape. So I'm just going to right click, I'm going to connect that. Alright. Just going to right click, target weld this guy to this guy like so. Select this guy, right click, connect those two. I'm connecting that. But this might be an extra vert, so no. Let's remove that guy. I've still got some kind of hanging guys, around here, and I want to sort of make sure I clean all these up. Because it's going to give you some weird deformations whenever it's time to kind of smooth out your geometry. So you don't want that. You want to get rid of it as soon as possible. And yeah, same with these guys. And it's just It's just unsightly. Alright, so I'm just doing some general cleanup, and you guys will see the difference that will make to our mesh. So now I'm gonna select this guy and make sure that I've got him kind of terminating at decent places. I don't know if I create an extra maybe I can make it match the form, and I can hit 1 on the keyboard, W. Or what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to target weld. I'm just going to actually connect these guys. Just going to connect this guy to this guy, and then get rid of this guy. Now what I can do is I can collapse these guys and it'll average it for me. Alright. So these are just simple tricks that you guys can do to kind of get yourself some decent topology. Now I can go back in, hit the Symmetry Modifier like so. Hit 1 on the keyboard. It's kind of like that, but now if I throw a shell modifier on this, whoops. Let's do actually a little air. Let's do a little outer. Then I can throw some edge and width segments in here like so. And now if I throw turbo smooth on it, so I should get some okay geo. Alright. So this is one way to start creating some of that detail that you're going to be wanting inside of this this mesh. Alright. So let's go in here. I can even make it just a little bit thicker. Some issues, you always want to watch out for anything that's pinching. Right? I don't really have any here to show, but you just want to make sure you're watching out for things that are, that are pinching on the mesh and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's how I would start kind of, blocking that detail in. And I don't need all this extra stuff yet. I'm still working with it. So, yeah. So let's continue. I'm going to hit Alt and X. We can add the rest of this this detail. So I'm just going to hit Alt and Alt C. That's going to bring up my cut tool. And I can just cut this guy like that, and then like that. And now I can select these guys and then just delete it. Like so. Alright, just to make that piece that's in there like so. And I'm just going to hit Alt-1 on my keyboard, throw a loop in there so that I have something to connect this guy to, and it's not just floating in the air like that. So I'm just going to hit Control, I'm just going to boom like so. Right. So for the most part, I'm making sure that I have quads. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 quad, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm making sure I have quads or tris, because at the base of everything, right? When you think about it, all quads are essentially tris, 2 tris. So if I hit connect, we've got 2 triangles here, right? So all quads are just made up of 2 tris. Right, and that's the idea. And every program that you're gonna take any of your models into, they're gonna break. Essentially, they're gonna break everything down into tries anyway. So the importance of quads is you just want to have good topology to work with, and to be able to control the flow of your triangulation. So that's the main idea for working with quads and things like that. So yeah, so now the next thing we want to take care of is this back guy that kind of goes like that. So we can do something similar where we just start cutting this bad boy up. Right? Don't be scared to cut stuff up. It's okay. It's okay. Trust me. It's okay. Boom, and then boom. Just like that, and then right. Take out what's left. I don't need any of this extra stuff. Control selecting, delete like that. Right? So these are simple things that you guys can do. Very easy. All I'm doing now is I'm just doing a little bit of cleanup, making sure that my edges are straight, my lines are where they need to be, and I'm throwing an edge constraint on here to make sure that it's constraining this vert to this edge, and everything is just nice, good, and working appropriately. Alright, so now we've got our stack already on, so I don't really have to do much but turn on my shell modifier and my turbo smooth, and then just throw on this Alt X, and you guys will see that we've got our detail here. So now we've got our the base for this part of the bow. So now it's unhide all. Boom. I can delete that guy. Alright. So this is how you go about just start blocking this stuff out. Just, slowly but surely, and you will get to where you're trying to get to. Alright, so I just leave it like that. So this is where we started, and this is what we have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this guy, look right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to fix that. So I've got anything more than 4 is an n-gon. So I'm just gonna select this guy, connect, like so. So now I've got 1, 2. If I get rid of this guy, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I've got quad topology. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sweet. So I'm just making sure that my topology is quadified out. Alright, and then you can see that just gives me a much cleaner interpolation over there. Alright. Simple stuff. And then, whenever we need to, we'll start to throw some detail into this guy. Alright. So the next part I want to address is this horseshoe kind of area right here. Alright, and maybe even some of this rope. Alright, so the quickest way to do this kind of rope detail that you've got right here that looks like it's being tied, in 3ds Max, they give you a few different options that you can use. So, you can either use, maybe it's still just the helix. So I'm just going to hit F on the keyboard, and then I'm just going to start drawing a shape. Alright, start drawing. It's one of those 3-step operations. I've told you guys about these. And then, just like that, I've created my helix here. So I'm just going to hit F on the keyboard, hit E, and I'm going to hit A on the keyboard, rotate it 90 degrees exactly so I can place it right in the middle of where it's supposed to be tying that string. And this is essentially supposed to be what brings it taut to this string right here. So that's the idea. So now we've got our parameters right over here to the right hand side. So now I can increase that first and second radius. If I want, I can just select this and then paste it in here, and I'll know that it's the exact same. But what I probably should do is just boom, like so. And then the next thing you want to do is maybe shorten this height, and then the turns. This is when we start to get our Control C this one, and then Control V it here. So now we've got something like that. We might need to do, let's do 1 inch. Control C this, right? Control V. As you guys can see, you know, I'm just so it's 2. All right, trial and error. Control A, Control C, Control V. All right, trial and error to see what works. And that's how you guys should be. You know? And the cool thing is, all I've got to do now is just enable in renderer and then enable it in the viewport, and we'll see that it's thrown some geometry on here. And you ultimately really want to work with it with the geometry turned on, just so you can see how big and how thick you need it to be. So now I just want to make sure that, you know, maybe it's just boop, right here, and then boom. Because as you can see, it this part kind of gets a little wider and then narrower. So you want to kind of affect your turns and things that way. So I can then hit E just to hide this guy somewhere. All right. Make it look a little more natural. Au natural, so to speak. So now we've got our, and then I feel like I've still got just a hair too much space right there. So I'm just going to reduce this the second radius a little bit more. There we go. And then I might reduce the height just so we get that rope looking nice and nice and good, just like that. All right. All right, so the next step for us is just, we're attacking this horseshoe area. So let's get to work on this hoof part. It looks like a hoof to me, but I could be wrong. I just want to make sure that what I'm looking at is correct. Yeah, it's kind of got this horseshoe kind of deal going on. So let us create that. So I'm just going to hit Alt and 1 to throw a swift loop here, and I'm going to just put one right there, right, and I'm going to do another one right here. Right, what I like to do a lot of the time is I like to just use the geometry that I've already made here to assist me in making the detail that I need. So now what I want to do is I've got my selection here. I'm just going to go here and detach it as a clone of itself. And then now I can go out into the scene, and I've got the clone of my object here. All right, and as you guys can see, it's got kind of like a swoopy shape to it. So let's address that right now. I'm just gonna select this guy right here, connect, boom, connect like so, boom, just connecting, selecting these guys. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, I need to do one more right here, connect. So now I've got 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3. So that's okay. 1, 2, 3. So these are okay. So now I can select these guys right here at the bottom. Let's go to the front view. Just gonna maybe pull these guys out a little bit more. Just give them a nice little pull like that. And now I'm going to throw a shell modifier on. Actually, let me throw my... Just going to throw some loops in here. And these are called locking loops, what I'm doing right now. These are called locking loops. And that's going to affect how harsh or soft these edges are. So now I'm going to throw a shell modifier on this guy like so. Let's reduce our shell modifier quite a bit. And then now when I turn on my turbo smooth and I add a turbo smooth to this guy, like so. That's something that looks like that. Two. So I can go down into my and just increase that guy like so. And if you're starting to see that, oh man, this is, this part right here is too soft and you're not getting the amount of detail that you need, you can always throw an edge loop right in here. Right in here. Throw an edge loop right in there. You'll see what it's going to do is it's going to harden that edge, but as you can see, it also gave us this weird line right here that I don't like. And to fix those kind of things, right, you're going to need to go back into your mesh. So what I would do is I would select this guy right here, the F3, this guy right here, and I would collapse them. And select this guy and this guy, and then Control and Backspace. So now we've got a mesh that looks like that. And it'll give us that hard edge right here. And continue smoothing as it goes. So there's just several approaches to this. So another thing is we've got this inside edge and it feels a little too soft. So what we can do is we can select all of our interfaces like this. Right click, inset. I don't want to inset that far. Just inset something small like that. And now if we throw on a turbo smooth and go out, we should have a nicer rim. So let me turn off. Alright. So now this is, starts to get a little easier as you continue this. So then we've got this little windy piece, which I believe, if we look at our reference, alright, so let me look at some of this reference. Okay, it's kind of like a wrap or some kind of covering that's around it. And that's what I'm seeing. Yeah, it's kind of like a wrap or a covering that's around it. So let's make that. So I'm going to select those guys like so. And not include these. So I've got it to about right there. And I'm going to once again say F on the keyboard to make sure we've got it to about where it needs to, where the blue ends. Alright, so now I'm going to detach it again. Alright, my detach box opens up. I'm going to detach it as a clone once again. Now I'm just going to throw a shell modifier on it again, like so. Alright. And the next thing I want to do now is, before I end this class, it's about, 12:48 now. I'm going to start assigning some basic materials to it that'll help us visualize it just a little bit better. So I'm going to start by making just some simple materials using the actual colors so we can see it. So I'm just going to select, or I'm just going to double click this guy right here. Boom. Get my color picker out. Shift drag, select the metal, and shift drag these two out. Select that. Select the blue parts of it. Maybe increase the saturation a little bit, or decrease it. Apologies. Select this guy, and I just want to select this red handle portion. So that's pretty much all of it. Okay, then there's the one more, the rope. Just gonna select this, just like that. So now we've got a material for pretty much everything. So I'm just gonna start with, and I want to make sure I name these rope. Rope. Okay. It's going to be the metal. This will be the wood. And the cool thing about this is that if it's used anywhere else, we can just use that material. Handle. I'll call this the ribbon. Okay, so now the next step is just assigning our new materials to their appropriate owners. Let me just turn off the specularity and make them all kind of rough. Everything that's supposed to be rough is rough. The rope. And then the metal is the only thing I'm going to leave kind of shiny. So I'm just going to select anything that's metal or metallic. Add that material to it. Add this to the rope. Make sure I've got it on there. And then in this part right here, just gonna delete this. I'm going to convert this guy, minimize this, I'm going to convert this guy to an editable poly like so. Select this guy, grow my selection, hit M on the keyboard, and then I'm going to assign that handle material to it. So now we've pretty much got a good base for our bow. Alright, so now all I have to do is just throw the symmetry modifier on the X, hit 1 on the keyboard, And I can just, whoops, I think I missed quite a bit of detail. So cut. Instead of symmetry, let's actually just use, let's actually just mirror it. Hit OK. I'm just gonna pull this guy like so. At the end of this, we're gonna, you know, unwrap it, do everything we need to do with it. But for now, this is okay. This will work. And I can select this whole guy right here, and I'm gonna do a new auto smooth on it, so we've got some decent smoothing. Okay. All right. So yeah. So here is our bow. Here's the base for it. It didn't take too long to really, you know, kind of block this out. I know it, you know, it probably feels like I'm going really fast, and I apologize if you guys feel, you know, but I feel like you guys can definitely learn this stuff, and I feel like you guys, you know, the more you do it, the better you're gonna get at it. So we've still got some stuff to fix with our shape and different things like that, but this is a good start for the base of this model. So turbo smooth on this. So, all right, so that's going to be it for today. Does anybody have any questions for me?